Hi and welcome to Hansoft. My name is Ebba, and in this session we're going to look at how you can do some high-level release planning in Hansoft. I'm going to demonstrate this from our project called Starfish, in which I'm now logged in as product owner Johan. Product owner Johan is responsible for one particular feature area within this project. You can see that he's got delegated control of this feature area, the requirements handling. So he's responsible for doing release planning and managing this requirement area and all the user stories that it contains. We're now looking at the hierarchical view in the product backlog of Starfish. But when we do the release planning, we want to move over to the prioritized view. In the prioritized view, you're actually able to compare the priority of the different user stories within the feature area against each other. So the first thing that Johan wants to do here is to sort them based on their product backlog priority. We can simply click this column, the product backlog priority column, and then we're going to have the ones with the higher priority appearing above the ones with lower priority. If we're not happy with the current product backlog priority of some of the user stories, we can simply go ahead and change that by just dragging and dropping them in the list like this. Let's say that I'm also interested in the risk associated with the different user stories when I do my release planning. I can then go ahead and create a secondary sorting by just holding Shift and then hit the risk column here. So what happened now was that the items with higher risk will appear above the ones with medium risk. And I can also go ahead and do a third level of sorting by again holding Shift and clicking a third column. So now I chose to do this with estimated ideal days, which is our size indicator of the user stories. So now I have smaller user stories appearing on top of larger ones. So as soon as I'm happy with the prioritized order of my user stories, I can go ahead and do the actual release planning. What I'm going to do now is shift the location of this release tag column so that I got it in the center and can focus on it. And then I'm going to decide which ones of the user stories are going to be part of the first release. Since I now got these in the right prioritized order that I want them in, I'm just going to select the top ones for the first release. I know that I can manage about 100 estimated ideal days per release because I'm pretty familiar with the velocity of the teams that I'm working with here. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark the first user stories here and make sure that they sum up to approximately 100 estimated ideal days. I can get an indication of that down here. And then I'm just going to choose tag to release and select the release that I want them for, the alpha release here. Once that is finished, I can just continue and mark the next 100 user stories for the second release, and so on until all my user stories has got a preliminary release tag. So now when I've done the high-level release planning from the product backlog, I'm going to switch over to the project schedule and continue the release planning from there. What I want to do here is make sure that all the sprints that I got laid out in the project schedule get tagged to the specific release that that sprint is going to deliver to. So let's consider these first 3 sprints, for example. They're all going to deliver to the alpha release. I can indicate that by just highlighting them, right-click, and then go to Tag to Release and choose Tag to Nearest Release in this case. You're then going to get this green letter indication here that this particular sprint is going to deliver to the first release here, the alpha release. It's very important that you remember to tag the sprints to the release that they're going to deliver to, as this tagging will actually override any previous release tagging that has happened in the previous release planning that we did from the product backlog. So all the user stories that we're going to assign to these sprints, they will inherit the release tag from the sprint. The same is true for any work that's going to be generated within these sprints. So all the work that we got within these sprints will be tagged to the alpha release. And this work is therefore also going to be the basis for the burn down for our alpha release. It's going to be the data source for that. So as you may have noticed up here, as soon as we tagged the first sprint to the alpha release, we're going to get the option to look at the release burn down. So if I just go ahead and click this, a window will appear in which we're going to see the actual release burn down as soon as we've assigned work to the sprints and as soon as people have started working. We've now covered the basics for how you can do release planning in Hansoft. Thank you for watching.